Welcome to our channel. Today, we're diving into a fascinating and crucial topic that affects all of us more than we might realize: confirmation bias. Have you ever felt like the world is against you, or that your beliefs are always right, while others just don't get it? Well, it turns out there's a psychological reason for that. Confirmation bias shapes the way we seek, interpret, and remember information, often leading us to reinforce our existing beliefs and make poor decisions. In this video, we'll explore how confirmation bias works, its impact on our daily lives, and most importantly, how we can recognize and overcome it to make better, more informed choices. So, if you're ready to challenge your thinking and learn something new, let's get started. As usual, a like and subscription to your channel will help the channel grow. Don't hesitate to take a few seconds to support the creators of this video. We'll get to the main content now. Imagine, today is your first day in a yoga class. As you walk through the door, you suddenly feel something is off. You feel a bit insecure about your weight and worry that tight clothes will reveal your body fat. Then, you start to feel anxious. You notice a group of models happily chatting in the corner. You quietly walk past them and suddenly hear some giggling. You think to yourself, "Oh no, are they laughing at me?" To address your worry, you find a spot at the back of the class where you think no one will notice you and begin the lesson. In the first lesson, the instructor asks the class to perform the fish pose. It's your first time doing this, so you can't hold it for long. And your back thumps onto the mat in the quiet atmosphere where everyone is focused on the pose. Reflexively, you look around to make sure no one saw your fall. But unfortunately for you, you catch a slight smile on the guy next to you. Knew it. Everyone is laughing at me, you think to yourself. At the end of the class, you leave without paying attention to anyone else. And that was the last time you did yoga. Confirmation bias. Looking back, during that yoga class, you quickly scanned the room and sought evidence to reinforce your worry. The models laughing at you and the guy next to you mocking your fall. But the harsh truth you don't want to accept is that no one in that class cared about you at all. We assume what we know is correct and tend to only seek, interpret, and remember information that confirms our existing beliefs without considering opposing viewpoints. This is called confirmation bias. This way of thinking happens unconsciously and affects your decision-making process every day. I emphasize every day, from small decisions like what to buy, what to eat, to bigger decisions like whom to marry, what career to pursue, how to express emotions, and even financial decisions. The impact of confirmation bias on behavior. Confirmation bias has three major effects on your behavior. 1. How you seek information. Confirmation bias shapes how you perceive issues around you. Imagine again, today you have to stay home alone. Feeling bored, you scroll through Facebook. What do you find? A lot. You see pictures of travels, parties, and weddings filling your feed, and conclude that your friends are now living very successful and happy lives. Then you whisper to your heart, "I am truly lonely and a failure." There you go, staying at home alone and feeling like a failure. It's because you are trying to find information to reinforce your negative thought, "I am a failure." Even though you know looking at those pictures will make you feel worse, you still do it. Strange, isn't it? 2. How you understand the information you encounter. When dealing with neutral information, confirmation bias makes you only follow the direction you believe is reasonable. For example, in love, when you deeply love a guy, what you see in him is perfection, an Adonis. In real life, you overlook all his flaws. But when the beautiful relationship suddenly turns sour, what you see in him is a mouth smelling of coffee and stories about shedding hair in the bathtub, as if you cared about that topic a lot. What has happened? I'm sure you are loving the same person, but you let your emotions decide who the person you love is in your eyes. 3. How you remember everything. Confirmation bias also affects your memories of past events. You may interpret or even distort them based on reasons you believe are correct. In a classic study, students from Princeton and Dartmouth were shown a football game between the two schools. After the game, Princeton students remembered more of the fouls committed by the opposing team, and Dartmouth students did the same, remembering more of the fouls by Princeton players. The reason is that both groups of students believe their team played more fairly. Therefore, they tend to remember the positive aspects of their team and the negative aspects of the opposing team to reinforce their belief. Why do we fall victim to confirmation bias? It is because you fear admitting that your opinion is wrong, and you would look foolish if you were wrong, so you tend to seek evidence to support your existing beliefs that you think are correct. It is much easier to accept opposing views on a subject you don't care much about. However, deep down in your heart, there is always a firm belief that influences your perception. For example, you always believe you are a good person. You believe your political views are correct. Any evidence that contradicts those firm beliefs causes mental tension and discomfort, known as cognitive dissonance. The brain's defense mechanism. The brain's basic function is to protect you from both physical and mental threats. When you encounter a truth that opposes your existing belief, the brain helps you defend against it to prevent you from being hurt by rejecting the opposing views, similar to how the body reacts to physical injuries. And when the brain needs to process a massive amount of information, usually, you have to put in a lot of effort to find information to support or oppose the conflicting views you encounter. Instinctively, your brain will look for the quickest shortcut to solve the problem. That is why it is easier to just put in the effort to find a few pieces of information to reinforce your belief, rather than evaluating the opposing views and proving yourself wrong. So, what is the solution? 1. Always be curious and open to new things. When approaching an issue, don't immediately focus on proving yourself right, because you might be led by confirmation bias. What you need to do is break down the barriers in your thinking and experience more with an open mind, always selectively absorbing. And when you dare to admit mistakes and failures, it means you have given yourself a chance to learn something new. 2. Accept opposing views. Embracing opposing viewpoints will help broaden your perspective. A simple way to do this is to always accept as many opposing views from others as possible. Next time you decide to buy a house you love, ask a friend to play the role of a critic and somehow convince you not to buy that house. At this point, you will have a chance to see things you might not have noticed before, and you will make a more informed decision. 3. Think and reflect. Acting on instinct is not always right. Before making an instinctive decision, think carefully. Next time you try to find information just to reinforce your worldview, pause and, more critically, evaluate your assumptions and try to prove yourself wrong. For example, if you need a cup of coffee every morning to energize your day, you are a coffee lover. Notice that if you are scrolling through Facebook, you will be drawn to any post that talks about the benefits of coffee. Reading that post will reinforce your belief. Knew it. Drinking coffee every morning is the best decision of my life. Next time, try doing the opposite. Try looking for opposing information about what you believe is reasonable and see what happens. Conclusion. Confirmation bias is an unavoidable obstacle in decision making, and you won't always overcome it. However, when making important decisions about health, love, or finance, try to minimize the impact of confirmation bias on your decision. Once you understand what confirmation bias is, I believe you can reduce the risks it causes and make more reasonable decisions. Thank you for watching. Let me know your thoughts on this topic in the comments section. Goodbye and see you in the next videos. Once again, thank you so much for watching this video, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care, and have a fantastic day.